I'm Evan Seaward, head of engineering at Hansen Table, and I think we just had a great introduction to what we are, but we're basically a data editor that has a really cool spreadsheet, UI, UX, but that's not what I'm here to talk to you about today. What I'm here to talk to you about today is I think that through a change of mindset, we can sort of explore the ways we're building with AI and create AI applications that are going to, basically through a change of mindset, we're all going to be able to build AI applications that's going to create the future together, basically. It's sort of what I'm trying to talk about today, but it's a bit difficult to explain it, so let's instead go through it together, basically. Yeah, actually, I'm on the wrong thing. 1 second. Okay. This is slightly broken anyway. Okay, so I'm not basically happy currently with the current state of our shared future together, and I believe many of you might share this same sentiment with me. I remember recently watching Back to the Future, and I was quite sad when I realized that we were meant to have flying cars by the year 2015, and it's been nearly 10 years since then. I was basically wondering to myself, where's my hover car, basically. Yeah, and personally, I'm really into planes and flying and space and things like this, and I also remember to myself that it's been 57 years since we had the last flight on the moon. So what is this all tying into? It's a good question, but we're going to get there. But one cool thing I think about this AI image that I generated was that it made the kids in this picture all holding the steering wheel, which was quite funny, I noticed. Okay, my sync's back. Okay. So, I don't own a hover car, and I don't have a house on the moon, nor do I vacation on Alpha Centauri. And sometimes it feels like the best we might achieve is building a supercomputer that calculates the answer to the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. So, where is AI basically taking us today? Most people that are building with AI, I would say, are just building chatbots, which has very limited potential. Because if all you do is put a chatbot into your application, it's just going to be a chatbot and doesn't really make much sense. So ChatGPT was one of the fastest growing, I think probably the most fastest growing consumer app. It achieved 100 million users in about 2 months, which is crazy. And this is why we have so much traction behind AI and why everything is growing so rapidly and why everybody's doing that. But I think we can do much more than just chatbots. Is it really the pinnacle of what we can do in 2024? This is why before I was talking about like hover cars and space, I believe we can really sort of push the boundaries, and when building with AI, we should really be thinking about like how can we really change the future, because we're currently not doing that, I think, if all we're doing is adding a chatbot into our app. So basically aim higher and to use AI to enhance our life more and solve real-world problems. So like reignite our push for innovation and push boundaries, basically. So I think one really good thing to look back at when it comes to this is looking back at the mobile first shift which occurred. I think it's a little bit similar. It's hard to draw the similarity at first. But basically applications that adopted mobile first sort of reshaped the industry, and we were able to push much quicker with that. But when it comes to like applications that were building mobile on top as an afterthought, it didn't really work very well. So this is sort of the shift that we're starting to see. We're sort of re-exploring this space, because probably as we're all developing applications now, we like to think we're somewhat mobile first, but we're not really most of the time. We sort of just, it's still mostly an afterthought, but we know these UX patterns and design patterns that work well now. So what we sort of need to figure out is how to do this with AI and how to build an application that really takes advantage of all of this sort of stuff. I think it's another way of framing it is like a first-centric approach is what we need to do. And basically, if we can figure this out, we can define a new future of applications and AI in general. So Basically, we need to prioritize AI to sort of lead us into sort of this new future of applications and not fall behind, like a lot of companies were that didn't really adopt mobile or stayed their old ways. So I think this is the simplest way of boiling it down is there's two ways. There's building on top. So this is how most people might be introduced to ChatGPT. So I remember when ChatGPT came out and it got really popular, it was like, let's put it in our application, and sort of now we have an AI startup is sort of the bit of the joke there. But this doesn't really involve much imagination of how we can actually go ahead and build an application. And I think it's very difficult to figure this out yet because nobody's really doing it too much, and we just need to find its way. So yeah, an AI-first approach is basically we need to assume the AI is going to continuously evolve and change, and it's hard to predict the future, but we need to assume what we're building is going to change. And I think it's a little bit like the mobile-first shift from the start. So there's a building on top was like adding things in half-baked, even though we probably all successfully make a website with this mobile-first added in last. But yeah. So this was me many years ago at age 16. Before I decided to even drive a car, I decided to fly a plane. And it's fascinating to think that there could be 16-year-olds above us right now flying planes. But probably most of us don't really know, and I probably scared a few people. But one interesting thing is we wouldn't really trust a 16-year-old, a kid, to go fly a plane, but it's happening. And the question sort of would we trust an AI to completely fly our planes and all these type of things? And I personally would, but probably it terrifies a lot of people. So what I'm going to do now is show a little thing I was building. So what's interesting about this is many things. What I originally wanted to do for this talk was show you how to take my voice and split it up into little 2-second chunks and then send it off into the cloud and get it transcribed, and then I'd be talking to, say, ChatGPT or whatever LLM we might want. But I was afraid of the connectivity here and would it fail, etc. So instead, what I ended up doing is you probably notice in this little browser tab here we have voice recording going on. But what I have is I have a model actually embedded into my browser, and it's going to transcribe my voice as I'm talking. I might need to duck down a tiny bit to actually talk to the computer as I go ahead and do this. But so what is this? Basically, the idea behind this. The idea behind this was I like flying planes, and I was curious what would a pilot be like. What would a pilot need for a co-pilot? I know as a programmer what I would want from a GitHub co-pilot, but how could we improve a pilot's job with flying? So this is just a hypothetical thing. So I was it's a little bit hard to imagine what a pilot might be doing in a plane, but usually they have a tablet strapped to their leg. And this has all their data and their flight and all this sort of thing. So you imagine this is strapped to the pilot's leg, and hopefully this works fine. So I'm going to... could you please tell me the flight plan today? So basically, yeah, perfect. That was complete. The transcription was bad, but yeah, anyway, I'll start again. Could you please tell me the flight plan today? Yeah, I need to get a bit closer. Could you please tell me the flight plan today? There we go. Okay, so that's simple. I'm just talking to a LLM, but that's not really what I'm trying to talk about. I'm saying get away from chats. So I'm just showing you a chat. So anyway, so let's go into a little bit more. What I'm trying to think of is how can we use interfaces with AI. But one more note, what's really cool about this is this transcription is happening purely in your browser. So you could, in theory, do this completely offline if you were able to also have another LLM embedded or even on your computer. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm looking at two screens. Okay, could you run me through the I'm clicking the wrong button. This is my debugging chat as a thing, but yeah. Could you please run me through the pre-flight? I missed the button. There we go. No, I didn't. Oh, God. Could you please run me through the pre-flight checklist? It's going to be good. There we go. There we go. Yeah, so now basically you can imagine the pilot's going to go, want to go through his checklist, and basically the AI is responding. I've tried to make things simple for maybe people to understand in the UI, but yeah, anyway. So now I'd go ahead in the flight and could you please announce departure to ATC? Good enough. No, I have a command in case the chat's not working perfectly because of being on stage. Okay. Yeah, so now basically you can imagine if we were actually all flying together in a plane, we would be doing actual, like the AI could be communicating to air traffic control for us. But we're not in a plane. There's a bit too many people here today to be able to do that. But the next step would be, could you do in-flight monitoring for me? I forget that I need to press this button. It was a bit far out of the scope of my presentation to also detect when the user stops talking. But yeah, so now you can imagine we're in the sky, flying a plane, and the AI is monitoring all that system. So this is the idea. This AI is going to be like a co-pilot. It's going to assist you. So let's do like a little disaster. So yeah, you can imagine at this point something's gone very wrong in the plane, and we're like, well, hopefully it's not a foreshadowing for my trip back to Wrocław in a few days. But anyway, so yeah, now the AI would be taking control of a lot of things, talking to air traffic control for me. I, as a pilot, would be able to just run through my emergency checklist and not really have to worry about too many things. But yeah. Okay, that's just a quick little cool thing I thought I wanted to show. So yeah, that's me again. And okay. Okay, yeah, there we go. So yeah, earlier I was mentioning that there's two strategies, building on top and AI first. Sort of what I was thinking to myself is, what would this demo look like if it was a built on top strategy, and what would be like an AI first mindset? In this building AI on top mindset, sort of it's added in as an afterthought. You could think that what I was demoing is sort of not the on top part, but yeah, anyway, just a thought experiment. This AI with the on-top approach would have limited capabilities, fixed response, and like a lack of continuous learning. It often would result in outdated, like ineffective applications. You can sort of think of a lot of startups right now that are adding AI in. All they really do is add in a prompt, and they end up getting just the response of this trained data. So this sort of on-top approach that sort of doesn't really think to the future and use the full potential of the capabilities is basically this AI on top approach. Basically, it's just a glorified chatbot. It is what the AI on top approach is a lot of the time, or it's a cobbled together many different types of chatbots. I mean, different types of chatbots and, say, image generators and all these type of things. So the AI first approach of how you could like take this idea is basically, so I tried to build it in like an AI first approach, and personally what I'm going to do is take this and actually hook it up to a flight simulator to actually make it work the way I want. But the whole point of this is it's augmenting the pilot's abilities. And I think this is a key word that we need to think about when it comes to building with AI in the future, is we're trying to augment the user. Like, we're trying to push their abilities. So this, in an AI first approach, we'd basically continuously learn from data. We'd be continuously improving accuracy and decision making over time, because it's going to like continuously relearn on itself and retrain. It's basically not a chatbot. It's going to go beyond this. It's basically the AI is trying to take the initiative, and we need to build applications that are going to take the initiative. It shouldn't be I ask an AI a question and it responds to me. Instead, based on like parameters and the scenario, it should be actively trying to help me. This is what I'm trying to say when I mean like augmentation. And we're going to be able to have a day where AI in a lot of cases can be fully autonomous, and this is what I'm very excited about. So how does that sort of set us up for this sort of like idea I was showing then? The AI basically is going to continuously learn, and what you could even think you could do is you could even set up like a multimodal type AI, which would have vision embedded in. So imagine it's in the plane with a pilot. It could be viewing the cockpit, and it could be reading the instruments. So if there's any reason or like any disparity between the readings, it could sort of make decisions on this and sort of, yeah. Basically, sort of really try to think out of the box, and we could really have sort of this system, when it comes to this idea, something like Skynet, but we don't really want that. Depends on the person, I guess. Anyway. So what are some of the ways we can start building AI first? I think we really need to think about augmenting, not building AI chatbots. So we need to basically gradually enhance. And so I think a really good example of this sort of augmentation approach is something like actually GitHub Copilot. So when you're writing code, it's sort of predicting what you're going to be doing, what you're next going to say. And this is just a simple way for a programmer to understand what like augmentation would be. So we need to start thinking in our applications, what are our users doing, and how can we do it for them ahead of time. So basically reducing what's in the UI and basically getting rid of a lot of things. So yeah, I wanted to quickly don't have time to build something, so I'll quickly show this other version. But sort of the question should be asked, how can I start building something right now for my users? And there's sort of a use case in a lot of big companies that I'm finding is they want to generate a lot of reports. So I think one way you can move away from just building a chatbot right now that's very simple, like this example here is insanely simple. It's like a request software form for a company, and they need, someone's job is to do like an automation. So example, I could just type in VS Code. Obviously, it's going to respond to me with this response, and then it's going to go ahead and build out a table, quite a cool table, and then basically you can imagine this as reports in a company. So this is one very simple way you can start building sort of a slightly more towards the future, but anyway, it's more realistic for now in comparison to this Copilot sort of demo I was showing before. Anyway, back to the point. Okay, next. One thing I want to talk about is like sort of the ethics behind this, and like how can we really trust the AI, like the AI being the plane being piloted by AI, because I think that's the idea of what I was talking about before in that domain will happen eventually. And how will developer tools move forward? Like, will we be replaced? I don't think so. We're going to have sort of like a new AI friend, coworker that we can start yelling at, basically. Like maybe a rubber duck friend, we can call it. But I think one way of building safety and transparency is basically be doing a lot of this stuff in the browser. So an LLM in your browser, which I basically showed before. So the transcription wouldn't be going to a cloud. It would be purely client-side and safe for you. So I think one thing we need to think about is the medium is the message. And many AI interfaces currently are overly open-ended, offering like a text box that leaves users to figure out what they can do. This approach is misguided and likely a temporary phase, sort of like a little tiny thing on our radar right now. In a world dominated by chatbots, we place the burden on the users. to explore capabilities. Basically, we have currently this sort of horizontal interface is a way I've heard it being called, and it does many things, and it's a burden on the user to explore our interface, but they'll end up doing nothing with this interface. So we need to instead look at like more of a vertical, of like a specific thing, of a way of solving a user's problem, like making a report, or in the case of this Copilot thing. So yeah. Basically, I think we really need to explore a lot of these things and really figure out to ourselves what is the future, how can we get there, really sort of embrace some sort of bold innovation and build some form of like transformative AI application together and engage and basically really talk to each other and how can we like solve this problem. Sort of the world I think we're going to is maybe purely via voice we can do a lot of things rather than using computers, because it's difficult to imagine this because of how we currently, interact. It's hard to imagine what the future would be a bit like. So yeah, I hope you like the talk, and yeah, I'm Evan, and I really had a fun time talking in front of all of you. And yeah, cheers.